Hello there, and welcome to the podcast, where today we're going to have the food, the whole food, and nothing but the food. Bettina Campolucci is a returning guest from our gluten-free episode and is world-renowned for her wholesome, colourful and internationally inspired cooking. For Bettina, the benefits and possibilities of plant-based cooking knows no bounds. They do in my kitchen. She's published 3 cookbooks, Happy Food, 7-Day Vegan Challenge, and her most recent book, Celebrate. Hammond is trained as a certified raw vegan chef, and soon, through her knowledge of cooking with a root-to-fruit philosophy, she began her career as a vegan chef consultant in Bali. I've just been hearing about it. It sounds amazing. You can now find her experimenting with indigenous Indonesian plants and botanicals at the Tanaman kitchen in, is it Desa Potato Head?
Desa Potato Head,
Desa.
Yeah.
She cooks with an earth-to-plate philosophy, with sustainability and nutrition at the heart of each dish. And Niki Webster is a regular guest on the show. She's a plant-based chef and founder of Rebel Recipes, which has been at the forefront of the plant-based sector for over 6 years. She's got 4 best-selling books: Rebel Recipes, Be More Vegan, My Vegan Year, and Rainbow Bowls. I love that, which came out in January of this year. Welcome, all of you.
Yay!
Thanks so much for being here. So, Whole Foods. I mean, it's not burgers, but we'll plow through it. Sorry, it's a terrible attitude. Terrible. And let's kick off with questions. Don't forget, if you've got a question about any aspect of vegan cooking, it's podcast@veganlifemag.com. We will, we'll hold them and collate them and try to organise them in some sort of meaningful way. So, any question, fire it off. Tony says, hi, Jake and panel. I've been trying to watch what I'm eating lately and have noticed how different I've felt with energy and all that, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he wrote that. That's not me being rude about his email. He wrote blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I would really like to start eating more soups, but I find them so incredibly boring. Correct. I would love some soup recipes and some advice on how to jazz my soups up. Soups, are they an acceptable food substitute? Let's start with you, Niki.
Yes, soups are great.
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
They're not. That's not unacceptable at all. I absolutely love soup. I mean, soup can actually be a stew or like some sort of curry type of thing. So I'm sort of, it's all kind of the same thing. I love soup. They're so warming, but you just need to add loads of flavour. So, I think he was intimating that soups could be a little bit dull and flavourless, but you just need to, give them a little bit of care and cook them a little bit slowly with some spices. And my top tip is, load the toppings on top. So never be scared. Don't just have this, bland, one-dimensional, gloopy texture. Go for some everything, nutty sprinkles, dukkha, toasted seeds, pesto, chili oil, swirl of balsamic, plant-based cream, just go for it.
That's a genius tip, because I've found like with smoothies now, it's all about the toppings. And since I've started laying a couple of Mars bars on top of my smoothies, I've enjoyed them so much more. Bettina,
yes.
What are your top tips for soup?
So, similarly to Niki, but I call it a drizzle, a dollop, and a crunch. So it could be a drizzle of pesto, a drizzle of even olive oil. It could be a dollop of sour cream or yogurt or anything that's sort of dollopy. And then a crunch could be toasted nuts or a dukkha or a za'atar. And fresh herbs. So you've got all of those textures and layers going on top. So a drizzle, a dollop, and a crunch.
Love that. I think that was a band. Dom, what about you? Are you a fan of the soups?
Half, because it's so hot out here. I'm not really a huge soup person, but when I'm back in Australia or when I'm over there in London and it's a bit colder, definitely can't go past a soup. I think my top tip would definitely obviously be roasting all the vegetables before blending them up. And then, of course, like the other girls, lots of toppings, so toasted seeds. And then also, I guess, going with the theme of the soup as well. So like crispy chickpeas, nuts, fresh herbs, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those are all top tips. I think often I don't sort of enrich soups enough. So it is effectively just pureed boiled vegetables, which is not necessarily all that interesting, But you're right that roasting vegetables, I find like coconut cream or coconut milk is a great way of just making it, oilier.
Yeah, but you've got to get. I think this is the problem. You've got to give soup some reverence and the attention it deserves, because it can be amazing.
Yeah. Okay. There you go, Tony. Also, final top tip: if you use an eco-friendly washing up liquid at the end of the day, that bowl of dishwater is a perfectly acceptable base broth. I'm kidding. Gabriel, I love that I have to explain I'm kidding. That's how bad my reputation is on this podcast. Gabriel says, loving the podcast, Jake. Oh, I didn't make that bit up either. It's got me through university. Oh, that's adorable. And each episode has given me so many new skills I didn't have before. Oh, do you remember the juggling one? I love cooking now and find it so relaxing, cooking for myself and friends. Isn't that just lovely? That's lovely. I'm currently studying in America. Oh, where? So each week I feel like I have a bit of home with me. Super basic question, so please don't laugh. No one's going to judge you. Is there a knack to steaming vegetables properly? Gabriel. I love that question. That's a great question. That's not a basic. There's no such thing as a bad question, you know. I'm going to start with you, Dom.
Okay, to be honest, I don't steam veggies that often. But when I do, I try to put some flavour in the broth. So adding a little bit of soy sauce, sometimes a little bit of lime leaf out here. And I actually prefer to steam my vegetables really quickly to keep the nutrients, keep the colour really vibrant still. It does depend what I'm steaming, but I guess that would be my top tip. And then just making sure that your vegetable cuts are nice and small and not too big.
Bettina.
Yeah, I think I don't steam vegetables very often either. However, I don't over steam so that you overcook your vegetables. Make sure that you've got a little bit of bite to them. And adding things like just a little bit of a drizzle of olive oil and some salt and pepper afterwards sort of elevates anything, or a little bit of soy sauce, even sesame seed, toasted sesame seed oil is really nice as well.
Nice.
As a finishing, but yeah, don't overcook them. Nobody wants soggy veg.
Yeah, you can almost tell by the color, can't you? Because it goes like broccoli, for example, will go a really vivid green, and then it will slowly start to actually discolor once you oversteam it. I've found. Do you stop it? Do you stop the cooking like with cold water afterwards, or do you just try?
You can do.
Judge it? Okay, Niki.
Well, it's not very exciting, is it? Steaming. I mean, I think that's going to be the worst way to cook veg, in my opinion. I'm so sorry, Gabriel, but I mean, I think that the other ladies have given good answers. But if it was me, I would certainly use any other method of cooking a vegetable, because I don't think steaming enhances the flavour very much or celebrates the vegetable. But I suppose it can keep them crispy.
True. I got to say, I do steam. I steam particularly broccoli. But this would apply with a lot of things. I'm going to ask, now this is possibly heresy. Dom, I should probably ask you, since you are surrounded by fields of it, how do you cook rice?
Okay, so my background is, my mum is Zimbabwean Greek, and there's a method that they use where we actually dry fry the rice and then add a little bit of coconut oil and fry it for a little while until the rice goes clear. And then I add the water, and then I don't really use a rice cooker, but I just, the little finger trick.
Okay, so in terms of depth, water, your little finger length above the level of the rice.
Above the rice, yeah. And then I like to, while I'm out in Bali, I definitely have got on to adding a little bit of coconut cream inside my rice, and then a lime leaf as well. Or if I'm doing like an Indian style dish, I'll add some turmeric and some cinnamon while it's boiling.
Amazing.
Also adding some chopped white onion into the dish while it's boiling, and then when the rice is cooked, it's all nice and tasty and cooked through. But yeah, coconut rice with some lime leaf, that's probably my go-to, actually.
I'm so glad I asked you, because I knew it was going to be good. So the way I do it is I do the 2-to-1 ratio thing, right? So I'll get like a cup of rice and then 2 cups of water, and I boil it with the lid on. But so what I'll do, just to get back to the question, is I'll take the whole head of broccoli, and when there's about 5 minutes left of rice cooking, I will just shove the whole head in the middle of the rice and put the lid back on. And the steam coming off the rice cooks it kind of perfectly. And it means I don't have to bother with another dish or a steamer or anything like that. And the stalk is kind of embedded in the rice, so it gets a little bit more heat. But I'm thinking you could probably just lay vegetables over the top of it as well and do that if you wanted to be, And then you should, just drown it all in margarine because it will taste nicer. There you go, Gabriel. Some top tips, and you got a bonus ideas for rice. Hannah says, I've recently got into fennel after detesting it for 10 plus years after a big night out with Sambuca. We've all had that night. In fact, I was there, Hannah, and wow. Anyway, my taste buds have finally decided I'm an adult and I can eat fennel again. My dad used to make a fennel spicy sausage pasta, which I recently veganized. That sounds really good. Hannah, send us the recipe. Maybe we can feature it in a podcast. What other fennel dishes do your guests recommend? Fennel, nice. Bettina?
I love thinly sliced fennel in a salad. And then if you just shave it into really cold water so that it becomes really nice and crispy, with recently blood oranges, a bit of avocado, bitter leaves, baby jam, just really simple, very nice. It's also very nice slow roasted in the oven along with other veggies, because it becomes quite sweet when you roast it on a slow and low heat. So those are my two favorite ways of eating it.
I want to get specific, and I want to know what kind of heat are we talking, because I suck at that stuff.
You know what? When I roast things, I start off on a really high heat. So 20 for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on what I'm roasting and how it's cut. And then I put it right down to 180.
Oh, okay.
It almost like, I don't know whether this is true or not, but it's how I do it. I don't know whether it seals.
Yeah, it sears it almost.
Seals it with a really high heat, and then you can with putting the heat down, you kind of caramelize.
Yeah, Yotam Matalengi recommends that, doesn't he? He does that, I think.
Oh, there we go.
So you're not alone. It must be good. It must be good. Niki.
I love fennel. I've got loads of fennel recipes. I kind of, sneak it in loads of places. But yeah, definitely roasting. Not surprising. I'm obsessed with roasting. But but my two favourite fennel recipes. One is a roast cauliflower, fennel and white bean salad with a roast tomato salsa. And that's a really delicious kind of roast veg, but sort of like a warm, sort of fresh salad, and that's delicious. And the fennel adds just a really nice kind of that licoricey sweet note. And my other favourite, and something a little bit different, is like a stuffed squash, but with a sort of fried fennel and herby rice inside, and that's really yummy as well. And the fennel really sort of brings out the flavours of loads of herbs as well. So very yum.
They sound really good. Dom, fennel?
Gosh, I'm getting tips off you girls. We don't actually get a lot of fennel out here. But yeah, as Bettina said, I think fennel works really well on a citrus salad, just really lightly shaved. Could use tangerine or sun-kissed oranges, pine nuts, red onion, and then a nice citrus Dijon dressing. That's probably what I would whip up. But yeah, out here in Bali, it's not something I get to play around with that often, but I'm definitely going to take tips from the other girls here.
I'll send you some. I'll probably give you like a $5,000 fine or something.
I was going to say, do you know organics barley?
Is that Rama?
Yes.
Yes. So Rama, luckily, if we ever want to play around with some good old winter veg, I know Rama has the goods usually.
He's got amazing stuff.
Yeah. And Bettina, I know you come out to Bali quite often. Well, before.
I do. I've not been for 2 years, so I'm looking into possibly coming in June, so I'll definitely come and see you.
Yay.
Can we like charter a flight or something? I want to come feeling very
Me too.
Yeah. There you go, Hannah. Fennel apparently pairs very well with citrus, unless you also ever did it on Grand Marnier 10 years ago too. Graylan, forgive me if I said that wrong, says, I have several questions for courgette flowers. 1, what do they taste like? 2, can I have a recipe? 3, some advice on how to cook them. I love that. Who was it got excited there? It was you, Bettina?
Honestly,
both of you. Okay, yeah, go on.
No, Bettina is the expert, so no one can compete with Bettina on this.
I
give way to my wrong.
They're my favorite thing. I'm so excited because they're coming into season very, very soon. I fill them with a truffled cashew cheese.
Wow.
And then you can deep fat fry them or shallow fry them.
Deep fat. Sorry.
And they become, actually, I agree. And they become really crispy on the outside and then ooze out this cashew
come on.
truffle cheese.
This is a family show, Bettina. Come on.
Or you can do them with a herbed and garlicky ricotta filling, which is also really nice. It's sort of fresher. But no, I love them. I'm absolutely obsessed with courgette flowers. I love them. You can put them on pizzas. You can put them on focaccias. But they're really nice, stuffed with delicious oozy things and deep fat fried.
Yeah, they sound great. And of course, within 20 minutes, they are a 4-kilo marrow. Niki, you were excited too. Can you talk a bit about the taste?
No, honestly, I cannot. There's nothing compared. I've eaten Bettina's version so many times that there's literally nothing I could ever do with courgette flour that could compare with what she can do with one. So the only thing I can say is they look extremely pretty. They're very delicate taste, you asked about the taste, and they look lovely, don't they? I agree on like some pizza or some flatbread in the salad, but the taste is got to be Bettina's truffle cheese filling.
Amazing.
Yes,
Yum.
crunchy, yum.
Yeah.
Yum. I love
Dom,
them.
have you tried Bettina's
I haven't, but I think I'm going to in June.
Yeah, I think you are.
I think we'll have to chat to Rama to get him to grow some around.
Yes.
When you talk about like strewing them across a pizza, do you like brush them with oil? Do you just literally throw them on?
No, you can brush. I think anything brushed with oil is nice, especially if it goes onto a pizza. Even things like herbs and stuff like that, just so that it doesn't burn. But yeah, brush them. It's a very delicate taste, and sometimes you get the courgette flour and then you get the baby courgettes attached to the courgette flour.
Oh wow!
So it's just a really nice little crunchy. I actually prefer it when it comes as a whole thing. So you've got the baby courgettes and the courgette flour, and then you just stuff everything in your mouth. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for your question. Cynthia says, how can I keep my fruit and veg fresher for longer? I find some things in my fridge can turn extremely quickly. I love this question. Niki, let's start with you.
Okay, so I think the best way, certainly for herbs, which is I think is the biggest culprit for deteriorating, and I always use loads of fresh herbs. And if you haven't got any in your garden, of course you have to buy them. So the top tip, I've suddenly gone really nasally, so I do apologise for the sound of my voice.
It's the pollen. It's these damn vegetables.
Exactly. Is getting a really big tub and then lining that with some wet paper towel and then keeping your herbs in there, and that literally keeps your herbs fresh for 5 times longer than it would if you just had them in a pack or like a closed pack or something. So I think that's a really, really good thing to do, and you can mix the herbs up and stuff as long as there's like a wet paper towel in there, and then apart from that, I think just keep your eye on all the vegetables. Make sure, rotate them. Make sure you haven't got some horrible stray manky ones at the back that you definitely can't use. And then if they are going a bit funny, make sure you're using them. Throw them in things.
When the soup happens.
When the soup happens, when the curry happens, when the pickling happens. Do you know what I mean? Roast it all. You can always use your veg.
Sure, very good. Dom, how do you look after your fruit and vegetables?
Okay, so I have a glass showcase chiller. So I collect all my like old jars and then fill them with water, and I've kind of got it almost looks like a florist in my fridge. And then I just place my herbs in these little recycled jars with a little bit of water. Make sure I'm rotating the water often. It looks really pretty. It's kind of annoying for my partner that the fridge is looking like a forest or a supermarket, but and I also, again, the wet paper towel, and then just having it in a super tight container and keeping them nice and moist. That's probably, my favourite way to keep things fresh.
Nice. Bettina?
I find that if you buy organic fruit and veg, they seem to last longer. but you can also rejuvenate some of your vegetables. So if you've got wonky carrots or sort of sad radishes or anything like that, obviously that's a root. So if you submerge those roots in water overnight, all of a sudden they'll become really juicy and completely revived. So just because things are slightly wonky, you can still there's still a chance to revive them. Even things like leafy baths. If you get a lot of leaves, you can do a leaf spa in your sink.
That's
so
adorable.
If you just submerge all your leaves in water and then do the salad spinner thing, you can bag them and then they'll last longer as well.
That's
so
really
things
good.
like that. Yeah, and rotating your vegetables, like Niki said, and I call it the sad curry, the sad veggie curry that you do at the end of the week when your new vegetables arrive. It's like all the vegetables that you've had the best intentions with that are sort of left behind. You stick all of those into a curry with lots of nice coconut cream, and then happy days.
Happy days. I've got into a thing. I have an 8-year-old, and I do a lot of packed lunches and stuff. And I always put I'm going into too much detail. I always put his sandwiches in an old margarine tub because I don't want to use foil and stuff because who wants to do that, right? And then what I'll do is I will wedge it in place, the sandwich, so it doesn't spill all inside the box with carrot slices, so that it's completely packed and secured. But I just got, you reach those times where you're like, I cannot scrub another carrot. I can't do this. And so what I do now is on Sunday, like I have all the sort of salad vegetables and I just do everything on the Sunday. So I scrub all the carrots, I slice all the carrots, and I just pack them into like old ice cream tubs or whatever, and I put them in the fridge, and they're fine for days, it turns out. But I also take like whole lettuces. I take a tiny slice off the root, like where it was cut off at the ground, so that it's kind of freshened. And then I bought some really tall Tupperware, and I put the whole lettuces inside with a little bit of water in the bottom, and they stay fresh for a really long time. Now, I thought that if I put like celery and carrots into like mugs of water or whatever, they'd kind of drink up the water and stay fresh. Doesn't work as well as putting them in the tubs, I've discovered. And that goes for, you can slice up and chop up celery sticks, and they're fine in a tub too. And it will do the week. And then I don't feel that slight feeling of drudge and despair that I can sometimes get by Thursday when I'm scrubbing a carrot again. There you go. Speaking of salad, Becky says, I love a salad. And no matter what anyone else says, it's all about the dressing. Well, here. What are the panel's favourite dressings that they make for a salad? That's a lovely question. Dom, let's start with you.
Okay, I love satay sauce. So for me, my go-to is we have a dish out here called gatto gatto. You guys are probably familiar with it. So generally it's steamed veg, but like I said before, I'm not really into the steaming, so I just like to make a raw salad and then put a really nice peanut dressing. Super simple. You could just take peanut butter from the cupboard, add a little bit of sriracha, a little bit of sesame seed oil, a little bit of coconut milk, a little bit of grated ginger and lime. Mix it all together, add a little bit of coconut nectar, and super simple peanut dressing.
That sounds amazing. I love the thought of that. Very drinkable. Bettina.
My go-to has been for ages. I do them in little jars, but olive oil, lots of lemon juice, maple syrup, mustard, salt and pepper. And then I flavour it with either shallots or dill or capers or gherkins or red onions.
Or all of them.
All of them. So you can do different ones. You just shake it up, and then that will last you for a few days. But that's always, it's kind of been my go-to.
That's a proper understanding of the chemistry of salad dressing, because the mustard emulsifies it, right? Yes.
So you get like sort of half creamy, not like full on cream, but it's nice, and it's got the sweetness from the maple syrup as well. And I can sometimes find vinegars a bit too harsh. I like using apple cider vinegar, but I sort of like the freshness of using lime or lemon more. Nice.
Niki?
I also love a mustard vinaigrette, probably the classic go-to salad dressing, but alternative to that, I also like tahini dressing, because it's just, tahini just makes everything taste amazing. So again, a couple of really nice good quality running tahini, lemon juice, extra virgin olive oil, garlic if you want it, sea salt flakes, splash of water, mix it up, and that makes a really delicious salad dressing. But also, it's a great dressing for the soup.
Come on.
And stew and everything else.
That's yeah. Do you know, with each one of those, I was like, no, that one. That was great. Thank you very much for that. Becky, 3 ideas for you there. Colm says, a few months back, I bought a bag of gram flour. We've all done that because I wanted to make the frittata that Chef Day Radley mentioned on the Boxing Day episode. However, I completely messed it up and it tasted really unpleasant. I know this wasn't anything to do with the recipe and more to do with my kitchen skills. Please, could I have some help on cooking with chickpea flour? Also, how long should I be cooking it? Because all I could taste was the flour and none of the veggies. Okay. Gram flour, chickpea flour, frittatas. Niki, let's start with you.
Okay, so firstly, I've got to state that, gram flour, it is a different flavour. So if you are expecting it to be an omelette, it's not going to be that, but it can taste amazing. So, and I think here the problem he may have had, that maybe it wasn't mixed and blended enough to make a nice creamy paste beforehand. So he was getting a bit of a floury flavour. But my top tips for making it taste really, really yummy is like everything, a bit of time and attention, use loads of spices, fry some onions so they're all caramelized first. And then, put some extra stuff in there, maybe some apple cider vinegar, some nutritional yeast, some mustard, garlic powder, and you're going to get a really flavoursome result. And the other top tip, I'm doing too many here, is maybe mix it with some silken tofu. And that also really enhances the texture and the flavour.
Lovely tips. Dom, are you big on the frittatas?
Yeah, but I think for me, my top tip would be make sure that your flour is fresh, because I've made the mistake of using we call it Besan flour out here, but using gram flour that has been sitting in the cupboard for way too long.
The flour goes sour, doesn't it?
Yeah, so just making sure that you're storing it correctly. Maybe you could wrap it in a paper bag and leave it in the fridge. That's worked well for me. Also, nutritional yeast for sure, maybe a little bit of onion and garlic powder, lots of chopped fresh herbs, caramelized onion, like Niki said. I think, those would be my top tips.
Bettina.
I put apple cider vinegar, bicarbonate of soda, and salt in my chickpea batter, and that creates a really light and airy type of mixture, because it's chemistry. Don't go overboard with the bicarb, because then it'll taste like bicarb. Just a pinch of all of those 3 elements makes it really nice and fluffy and aerated. And with the bicarb, you need to use that just before frying. Another tip as well is that you can make your batter and you can leave it overnight to sort of ferment. And then just before frying it, you can add your apple cider vinegar and your bicarb, and that sort of makes it really nice and airy. Yeah.
Anton Petrov leaves his for 5 days to ferment.
Wow.
It's pretty wild, I've got to say. It does kind of change the texture. I think you're all, everybody made the same point, but brilliantly in different ways, which is that the chickpea flour itself can be really heavy and dense. There's no getting around it. And leavening it in those ways, like with silken tofu or using leavening agents, is a top tip. I use Greek, you can get the fake Greek white cheeses, like any make of those. I crumble that in. And frankly, I use quite a lot. And it means you have these sort of pockets of oiliness that kind of stop it being that really claggy, heavy thing that it can be. And it can take a very long time to cook as well. You have to kind of give it time, possibly put it in the oven for a bit.
I think my favourite way to use chickpea flour is using it as a batter if I'm ever doing a replica of a KFC wing or something. Just adding a little bit of the chickpea flour, it makes it so crunchy. I love it. I can't go without it.
That's nice.
I agree.
Good calls. Final question. Richard says, last year I had a heart attack. And since then, I've been recovering and eating much more healthily. I've gone vegan. Go, Richard! Our new brother. And I try to eat mainly whole foods. I would love a heart-healthy dish with lots of colours on the plate. I felt a lot better for eating a whole food diet. You can't argue with fruit and veg, can you? Well, you can, but they won't argue back. Well, we should probably ask the author of Rainbow Bowls what would be a good dish with lots of colours on the plate. Niki?
Well, I was just going to pop in a shameless plug then for my book. But
I pre-plugged
you did it for me. I know. Yeah.
I'm a gentleman.
Thank you very much.
I know.
Thank you. Well, I have lots because my book's called Rainbow Bowls. Yeah, so some of my favourites for really vivid colour out of the book. I've been thinking about this, and one is a coconut veggie curry, which is like bright yellow with vegetables and the turmeric and the coconut milk, which is just so vibrant and fragrant and lovely and sunshiny, and that's always going to make you feel good. And another one from the book, which is bright green, which is a spinach and tamarind green lentil bowl, which is like really vibrantly green. And I think eating those really colourful dishes just taste good and make you feel amazing as well.
Nice. Dom, what kind of rainbow do you like to eat?
Definitely like a Buddha bowl. And then I would probably recommend like a smoothie bowl, maybe for breakfast, like banana being high in potassium, which lowers blood pressure. So just, and then play around with the topping. So lots of colourful, fresh fruits. I guess that would be it from me.
Nice. Bettina?
I think making the most out of seasonal and local produce and including as much colour and texture as possible onto your plate. Yeah. And implementing the drizzle, the dollop and the crunch bit as well. It sort of elevates all your meals, and eating as seasonal as possible and as locally as possible will always taste better and be cheaper because there's an abundance. And we're into spring now, which I like to call it's the season of a lot of good things to come. So make use of all of those amazing things that are about to land on our plates.
Nice. And you're so right that kind of all of those kind of fresh flavors kind of as a way of reducing your sodium, like citrus juices, stuff like that. Yeah. That kind of gives it some punch. Richard, good luck, and thank you for joining us. My final tip, you should eat a rainbow, a bowl of Skittles. But this is Whole Foods. Leave the shells on. It's much healthier. Mm-hmm. Guys, thank you so much for a brilliant podcast. Before you go, tell us where we can find you and your work. Niki, I believe you've got a cookbook out. But what tell us where we can find you?
Yes, or just Rebel Recipes on Instagram, on my website's also called Rebel Recipes, Facebook, everything. And then, my latest book, Rainbow Bowls. And also just before Christmas, I had a young adult book called My Vegan Year. Nice. Bettina?
Yes, my latest cookbook called Celebrate, Plant-Based Recipes for Every Occasion. There's a whole Easter chapter there. So if anybody's struggling with Easter recipes, it's a good one. And you can find me on Bettina's Kitchen on Instagram and Bettina's Kitchen on my website with lots of recipes and other goodies.
Perfect. And Dom?
You can find me at Potato Head. So I'm now working at Tannerman in this beautiful spaceship that we have out here. I'm also on Instagram at Dom Tropical, and then I feature on a few different cooking courses with coconut bowls and then with Kind Community and a couple of other restaurants out here in Bali, Indonesia. So if you're in Bali, definitely come out and visit me, and I look forward to seeing you guys out here very, very soon.
Yes!
My suitcase is packed. I'm on my way. Thanks very much to all of you. And thank you to you for listening. Don't forget, if you've got a question about any kind of vegan food, why don't you email? It's podcast@veganlifemag.com. Quick reminder, Vegan Life Live is happening. It's an actual thing. And I'm actually going to be there. You can poke me if you want and everything. The 11th and 12th of June. If you would like tickets, it's veganlifelive.com. And hopefully see you there. We're going to be doing a recording with Amari McQueen. Looking forward to it. In the meantime, from me, Jake Yap, hey, take care of yourselves, do some fun vegan cooking, and see you next time. Bye. This has been a Swanburst Media production.